So the other day we did a little road trip in our Model Y, and I just wanted to share how that went, what kind of efficiency we got on that road trip. So we actually did an all-day trip. I got really tired by the end of the day. We got home around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and we had left the house around 8, so it was all day. Started the day out with 100% charge, anticipating not being able to charge anywhere in Tennessee. So we did actually go up to Chattanooga and went up to the aquarium as well as Rock City. So we did a little bit of picnicking around there, and we did park up there on Lookout Mountain before going to Rock City. There are chargers around some of the parking lots and stuff, so we thought there was a possibility that we'd get a charge somewhere, but we went ahead and planned on not being able to get one anywhere. There is a supercharger up in Chattanooga at the airport, so that one is a little bit difficult, I guess, to get into and out of. Although if we needed a charge, we definitely could have gone there for a quick charge. And there was also a charge on the way back home that we also could have used a supercharger there as well. But we just decided to charge it up to 100% and see if we could get there. Turns out that charging up to 100% in our Model Y right now is 310 miles of range rather than the rated 326 miles. It is supposed to get 326 miles on a full charge when new, but we do have some battery degradation already in our Model Y, which puts it at 310 miles. It might be a little bit more than that, just depending on how often it calibrates the battery to be exactly accurate. That's really just kind of a guess at that point in time based on the charge level in the battery, but it should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 miles plus. So that's what we were anticipating. So 300 miles we had starting out the day, and we were thinking we were going to go around 250 miles, and we were going to be going up a mountain and that sort of thing. So definitely not the most efficient drive, as well as we did end up going, of course, faster on the interstate than we probably should have. We were just kind of following along some others in the family. So we just kind of went with the flow and ended up going 75, 80 miles per hour most of the time on that trip. So we got to our first destination, the Tennessee Aquarium, with around 64% battery, which was a little bit more than the car had anticipated us getting there, even though we were going faster than expected. I think if we had been going 70 or less miles per hour the whole time, we probably would have gotten there with around 70% battery, but that's okay. So we still had plenty of battery left by the time we got there, basically the halfway point. Now we did still have to get up to Rock City, so that going up that mountain, we ended up around 55% battery life once we got to the top of that mountain. But it turns out we actually lucked out, and there was a charger, a charge point charger right outside a Starbucks right across from Rock City. And we had to wait to get into Rock City. We were going there to see the lights. They do have lights around Christmas time, apparently, where you can go walk through their little light display. And there was a charge point charger right there in front of Rock City. So it was a great parking spot. And it turns out that charger was actually free. So I couldn't believe it. It was there was nobody using it, and it was right there in a great location. So we ended up charging that and got about 20% charge. So we had 74% charge or so when we left Rock City to go home. So we had way more charge than we needed to get home, obviously. But that's okay. It obviously was nice to have that extra charge. So we did end up getting home later that night, and we ended up only driving 212 miles instead of the 250 miles that I thought we might end up driving. So that ended up being less miles than I thought, and we got home with around 35% battery. And we didn't do very good on efficiency. Obviously, we were driving a little bit faster than we probably needed to, and ended up with 269 watt hours per mile, which is not as good as what you should get. If you want to get the full 300 and, in our case, 10 miles of range, we need to have around 225 or 230 watt hours per mile to get that full rated range. Although I am going to go out and do some more testing on that now that we do have the new update with the extra range added on there, so our efficiency should be a little bit better. So I'm going to try some more range tests at 60, 70, and 80 miles per hour to see what we get with that new update. But we did end up with 35% battery left when we got home. So if we had not charged or had not had a chance to charge at Rock City, then we probably would have ended up with 15% battery life left when we got home. So that would have been around, we would have had about 50 miles to spare at that point. And obviously, if we had taken it a little bit easier, we definitely would have come back with much more range left over than we did. But overall, it ended up being a great trip, and it just goes to show that you really can do day trips or road trips in our Tesla. So the Model Y is a great road trip car, and it did great just doing the 300. We could have done 300 miles or so, 250 to 300 miles on this road trip, this day trip, and that's more than enough for us to do in a day. You know, if we're not going across the country, and obviously if you're going across the country, you're going to end up with doing a couple superchargers along the way, that sort of thing. We have done road trips in that. So a lot of people ask me, well, is a Tesla a car that you can take on day trips? Can you use it as your road trip car? Electric cars have been great for a while now for your commuter car. So just to go into work and back each day, you plug in at home, no big deal. But with a Tesla, especially with our Model Y, if you get over 300 miles of range and with a supercharger network, it is a great car for any type of day trips, really. Day trips or road trips, it is great for that. Didn't have to worry about the battery at all. And like I said, we didn't have to charge at Rock City, but it was very convenient to charge there, and it ended up being free. So actually, it's so cheap, honestly, to drive in that case, because we charged at home and then we charged at a free charger, got about, 20% battery life there. So we got about 14 kilowatts of battery charge there. So that was just free energy, free fuel for our car that we obviously, you can't get free gas, or I guess it's a lot harder probably to get free gas in places, but in this case we were able to get a free charge for our car, and again, be able to just enjoy ourselves while we were there, not think about or worry about the range that we were going to have. And of course, we got home with plenty of range left. So overall, it was a very enjoyable trip, and it was just a quick day trip. But I wanted to share this because a lot of people ask if it is actually something you can do in a Tesla. Can you go on road trips? Can you go on day trips? And I'd say absolutely yes. And it is very enjoyable to do so. It is convenient in most cases. I would say there are probably some areas of the country that maybe you wouldn't have as many chargers. But the thing is that every day they're just getting more and more chargers available, so that it's going to be more and more convenient every day. And right now, it's already super easy to go across the country or do nice long day trips in the car. So we actually could have even done this in our Model 3, especially with the fact that we got the charge. But even if we hadn't gotten the charge, we actually could have been able to do this trip in our Model 3. Now, if we had done this in our Model 3 standard range, it would have been a lot tighter in those miles, and we definitely would have kicked back that speed when we were going to Tennessee and back. Both of those legs, we definitely would have taken it easier on that, and we definitely could have made it, but it would have been a little bit tighter on that. So even with the shortest range Tesla that you can get right now, these road trips, these day trips are completely doable. If you like this content, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more like this. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.